Hi, I'm Anna Kertesz, and this is How to Live It. Today we're going to talk about a topic that I've been thinking a lot every day, which is how to build resilience. And I think this is a very relevant topic for all of us because given the times we're going through now, more than ever, we have to understand why does it matter to have resilience and how can you use some strategies to build them. And I'm here with Matthias Barker. Hi, Matthias.
Hi there.
And he's accepted to have this conversation with me. He's an awesome psychotherapist based in Spokane, Washington, which, by the way, is a state where I've lived in before, and it's very dear to my heart. And he's going to help me think about how to build resilience. He has, experience working with different clients in his practice, and I think it's a great conversation. So, Matthias, why don't we start with the question, why does it matter to have resilience?
Yeah. That's a great question. I work a lot with people who have undergone sexual trauma. And so when we're thinking about resilience, what we're thinking about is this ability to hold stability even while going through incredibly painful circumstances or, like wrestling through symptoms of maybe however that trauma, kind of services in a mental disorder, whether that's like PTSD or anxiety or even just having like extreme nightmares or something along those lines. And so my work in that field is really kind of giving me a lot of insight into what it looks like to build resiliency just kind of in everyday life over things, whether it's like an extreme trauma or whether it's something that, you're really pressing through this time when it's complicated with your business because COVID has been affecting all of us in different ways. So maybe there's been a lot of stress that you've been undergoing in that realm. And, so resilience is important. It's an important idea to be able to pursue, to persevere through a lot of hardship. So that's why I think it's important.
Why do you think some people naturally have a better way and are more resilient? You see it, some people navigate through difficult times in a more resilient way. And actually some people even have the ability to see opportunity in difficult times, which I guess is the ultimate goal of being a resilient person, right? Navigating through the hardship and even using it as a learning experience, as a growth opportunity and seeing, what else can be done. So why do you think, different people have different abilities to handle, or to be resilient?
Well, three things come to mind. I think, one might just be personality temperament, so I work a lot with something called the Big Five personality model, which understands there's a trait called neuroticism, which is really just your sensitivity to pain, your sensitivity to adversity, and then how you respond. And so some people just by temperament, just by your genetics or how you kind of neurologically developed, you just kind of have a more anxious temperament. But that's not like, a sentence to always be anxious. There's definitely skills that you can be, kind of put in place to be able to interact with stress or interact with uncertainty in ways that are a lot more efficacious. So yeah, that would be the second thing. It's just the skills that you have available. And maybe those were modeled for you as a kid. Maybe your parents, knew how to overcome stress and anxiety. And maybe some of those things were modeled for you, and maybe not. Maybe you learned them on your own and just through research or having a great set of friends or, mentors in your life. So yeah, I mean, it can vary just kind of depending on a lot of things, but I think, there's no place to say like, oh, I'm screwed. I'm just an anxious person and I'm never going to be able to, interact with anxiety. I think no matter where you're at on the personality spectrum, you can absolutely develop those.
Interesting. So given everything that's happening, and I think all of us have now accepted that we're in this phase for the long run, right? So resilience, the way I look at resilience is the ability to sort of recover from difficult times, but also an ability to persist through a difficult time and not let it drag you down, right? Yeah. So what are some strategies you think people should be thinking about following for the next, we thought this was going to be over already, and it looks like we'll be difficult times for weeks, months, who knows? So what are some strategies you think would be helpful for people to follow?
Yeah. Well, I think there's three things that come to mind. One would be being able to kind of interact with your body in a way that's helpful, interact socially in a way that's helpful, and then interact psychologically. And maybe those are the three domains we could talk about. So the first one, just with your body, like I think exercise has been something that's been so helpful for me to be able to just kind of like regulate my my nervous system. And so like when I am encountering things that are stressful, when I am wrestling with things, I have good amounts of sleep. I exercise, and so I feel like I have a good amount of energy. I'm eating healthy, so I have the right nutrition to be able to handle the things that are coming my way. So those biological pieces, I think, are maybe underplayed because they're not as deep and, I don't know, fancy, but I mean, they're the foundation, I think, to healthy, just, action in general. The second, socially, I think being well connected with people you love and really having a priority to reach out to friends and to family. Something I did, especially when we were in phase 1 lockdown here in Washington, was I was calling, a family member or someone that I hadn't talked to in a while, maybe an old friend from high school, maybe somebody, like reestablishing some old connections or connections that were a little loose, like really kind of, strengthening those. I was, calling and FaceTiming my family regularly. So just having that strong social, network is something that is going to build resiliency. And we see that especially with trauma victims. So one of the first things I do when I'm, treating somebody with a huge background of trauma is, okay, who's supporting you? What is your support system, and who do you have in your life, so you're not just wrestling through this alone? Because it's not just your resiliency, it's the resiliency of you embedded into a system. And then the third thing, psychologically, there's lots of different like psychological tips, and I think it's different for everybody, but maybe one that I could share that might be generally helpful would just be this idea that, not every thought that comes in your head is you necessarily. And some of it is, a critical teacher that you had in high school, and some of it is a parent, or some of it is, your own insecurities, or, maybe, a part of you that feels like, they can or can't do something. But when we're really like psychologically thinking through all the different influences we have when we encounter stress, it's like, can I do this? Can I handle this? What am I going to do? It's all going, like all these like different anxieties and these scripts that start to flow through our minds, being able to kind of take a step back and understand, okay, some of this is me. Some of this is just the stress of what's happening. Some of this is the news, like being able to kind of like almost like get a little step outside of it for a second and look at it all. Like, it kind of feels, it's like the difference between like a swarm of bees, like kind of going around your head and being able to see each bee lined up in front of you. And it's like, okay, I can kind of get a handle on, all right, which thoughts do I really need to be paying attention to? And which thoughts are maybe just pushing me into stress in a way that's not going to lead to any sort of healthy behavior.
I love your bee analogy. Listen, I've been trying to practice a lot through mindfulness and through just breathing exercises, this ability to control my thoughts and to really separate them. So I love, every time now I'm gonna go, be going through the exercise, I'm gonna be having the image of the bees. And I love the 3 strategies you shared. And I agree with you 100%. And it's funny, I didn't even know these were the 3 strategies to be, resilient person. But that's what works for me. If I don't work out in the morning, I get anxious during the day. I start to have more, sort of gloomy thoughts. And if I don't socialize, it's the same thing, right? I feel a sense of being disconnected from the world and not necessarily, living my purpose. And the third, as you said, we have the ability to control our thoughts and to separate them from the actual facts, right? And that's very powerful. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Happy to share. Happy to speak
with a piece of advice.
Yeah, say that one more time. Sorry, we were talking over each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on.
Advice.
Last piece of advice. Yeah, I would say that. Just stay resilient. There's absolutely opportunity to push past everything that's been happening with the world. I think everyone is really kind of feeling stressed and overwhelmed. But I think if we really lean into our friend group, lean into those good habits that we have that we know are healthy for us, getting sleep, eating well, those kinds of things. And then we lean into the idea that, we need just kind of some distance from our thoughts so we can kind of evaluate everything. I think this can be really helpful pieces to keep this going.
Wonderful. Okay, thank you. I was here with Matthias Barker. We are recording our, let's say, home edition. And we were talking about how to build resilience and why does it matter and what are some strategies you can use to be more resilient. So I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you, Matthias. Now everyone get out there and live it. Bye.